Hey, welcome everybody. Ryan and Justin here, bringing you the second episode of Footy Rivals. It's round 8 for 2019, and it has been an interesting week in footy. It was an interesting week the week before, and I think this weekend should be interesting again.
It's getting to that time of year, isn't it? Everyone's starting to find everyone out, and we're starting to sort of realise where teams are. The pretenders have come back a bit, so...
Yeah, I think the ladder is starting to sort itself out now.
Yeah.
What do they normally say? They normally say after about round 8, the top 8 doesn't actually change. I think maybe 1 or 2 spots change, but otherwise by round 8, the top 8's begun to settle.
Yeah, I think you can sort of tell teams that are coming back to reality. St Kilda lost, they're starting to come back to reality. Fremantle maybe starting to come back to reality. And there's a few teams like Adelaide, not winning impressively, but making their march towards the 8. It's starting to get very interesting for mine.
A couple of teams still here and there.
Yeah, teams at the bottom really need to get going as well.
Sydney
games.
on the bottom of the ladder. Who'd have thought that at the start of the year?
Certainly not me.
I had them, I think, in about 14th position, 13th position, something like that. I had them dropping, but not last.
Not to where they are.
No.
I mean, they're almost a shoe.
The talent on their list shouldn't be last.
No. I mean,
mind you, in saying that last year, 0-6, they shouldn't have been 0-6 last year.
No, and they showed us all up, didn't they? They rocketed straight back in. So very interesting times ahead for sure.
So we got a couple of questions. So last week we started the show with a question each, and we put a position on what stance of an argument that we would take on that position. Now last week I did actually, after watching back, I messed you up.
Yeah, I thought so.
But
I was kind of happy you did in the end because it went more towards my actual belief when you switched on me. So, whatever, I'll take that. Roll with the punches.
So, my statement to you, should Carlton keep Brendan Bolton? And I want to argue that they are to keep him. Now, with this question, we would normally have... Yep, you're arguing positively for this, and I'm going to argue negatively.
Yep.
However, in this instance, I'm not going to argue that they should get rid of Bolton because I think everybody already knows the argument for that. There's nothing more that I can actually add to that argument that hasn't already been said. But I want you to fight for Brendan Bolton's head coach position.
Right, I'm ready to do this. I'm gonna take this on. It's not going to be easy, but I'm going to take this on, and I think I'm good to go.
All right.
For you,
I
want you. I'm sticking with the coaching theme, by the way.
Right.
This is. We're gonna. The heat's on coaches. We're in round 8, are we?
They are.
Coaches are starting to feel the heat. So I want you to make an argument that out of Brad Scott, Brendan Bolton, and John Longmire, that John Longmire should be feeling the most pressure out of those 3.
The most pressure out of those 3.
The most pressure, and why should he be feeling the most pressure?
Okay. That's Brad Scott, Brendan Bolton, and John Longmire.
Yes, the North, Carlton, Sydney, the teams that are really hanging around the bottom. Make me an argument why John Longmire should be feeling more pressure than Scott and Bolton.
Okay. And you're going to argue that he shouldn't?
I will argue that he shouldn't, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I argue that's easier.
I'll take the easy road. Yeah, look, this is rivalry. We're not in it to give someone an easy out.
You're not wrong. All right, well, I will deliberate. Okay, I've got a bit more thinking to do on that question I thought that there would be, but that's okay. So basically what we'll do, just in case you're not aware, because last week we kind of... I gave you an easier question to spitball from the top of your head, and mine was a bit trickier. We decided that we would come up with some questions beforehand and not let the other person know what the question was, but just give them an idea as to what to research to come up with an answer. So I would have liked to have researched North Melbourne as well, actually.
Okay, right. All right. I really should have given you that, but I need you to make...
Nope, that's okay.
Look bad. I hope I've given you something to run on.
No, that's all right. We'll get there. So, moving on to the first topic. Richmond got spanked on the weekend.
They did. Right. Wasn't it?
And in last week's episode, I think, or the other day when I was talking to you, I think I mentioned that the poll, which I think actually runs from pre-season now that I'm thinking about it, but there is a poll on the AFL site, does Richmond make the top 4? And I think it was something like 74% was saying yes, that they make the top 4.
Right, okay. 74%.
Yeah.
Jeez.
They're not even... So my question to you is, does Richmond make the top 8?
Ooh.
There was an article this week, actually, that suggested that Rants might make a comeback at the end of the year.
I saw that. Are they... What I wonder is, are they going to make enough ground or keep enough ground and stay steady in this period where they've got a lot of injuries, a lot of outs, a lot of...
Because they got shellacked by the Bulldogs.
Yeah, they did.
That's not a team that you should be getting beaten by 10 goals.
It's funny, in that game, I feel like they missed Asprey in that one game more than they've missed Rants across the whole start of the year because Norton just destroyed them.
I think Asprey is more important to their defence than Grimes.
I think so
Grimes,
too. I think so too.
Grimes is a very good one-on-one defender, but Asprey gives them that structure.
He does, yeah, and they clearly lacked it last week. Norton just clunked everything in the air that came his way. I think they'll make the 8. I think they'll stick around long enough. It wouldn't surprise me if they come and pinch a win over Freo this week. They're not favourites, but what suggests that Freo should be after their game last week? So I think that there's enough for them. They'll make enough headway in this period before they get... I mean, when's Rewalt back? How long's he out for?
He was out for 2 to 4 weeks or something.
2 to 4 weeks. So it's not doom and gloom.
This is the second week that he's missing.
Yeah, all right. So he's not gone for too much longer. They get him back. He's a big part of it. He frees Tom.
Really, if they were smart, they would keep him on the sidelines until after the bye.
Yes, they would. Their bye week can only be 3 or 4 weeks away anyway, can't it?
Something like that.
Yeah, it would have to be close. I mean, everyone's is, but I think they'll make enough headway. Or win enough games or pinch enough games to stay competitive, get your stars back. Potentially Alex Rance would be huge for them. And then I think they make the 8. I'm with you. I don't think they make the top 4. What are your thoughts? Or where do you stand on it? What do you think?
I think they're missing the top 8 this year.
You think so?
Yeah. Well, I can't see who they replace in the top 12.
It's tough. They got a lot of kids in there at the moment,
the top 4 is pretty settled, besides probably the Lions, I would imagine. But I still think they're probably going to be there, if not right there at the point of
amazing. They're not even challenging top 8. They're challenging 4.
Yeah. I think Fremantle will be challenging top 8. Don't know whether they'll be there. I would think that West Coast probably come in if they fix up their game plan. If they just keep playing the way they're going, they'll miss. The Bombers, I just don't think Richmond at this current stage that they're at right now are better than even just those 4 teams mentioned. I reckon they would lose.
It's tough.
What happens if they lose to Fremantle this weekend?
Then my argument gets revisited, and it's like, well, you're not pinching enough games because the game they need
Fremantle
to pinch.
Then move 5-3.
Yes, they would be 5-3 at the end of that. The Dockers.
That's a pretty good spot to be in.
Significant, yeah. But the Dockers have started this way for a few years in a row now. They always start around 4-4, 5-3 sort of thing, and then finish with 8 wins. And
I'll tell you who starts like that as well. The Suns.
God, the Suns. Things are looking uglier and uglier by the week. I mean, as they probably should be. We're not going to judge the Suns too harshly. They're a team of kids, but. Where do you sit with the Suns?
I was talking to you just before we started the show, and I came across a pretty damning stat of theirs. They are the worst scoring side in the competition, which, fair enough. They're a bunch of kids and everything.
They lost their key forward from last year.
Being the lowest scoring side wouldn't be ringing alarm bells for me so much if they weren't the worst scoring side by 60 points.
That's ugly.
They've only scored 444 points for the year.
Across 7 games.
Across
what did we work that out to be? That's an average of
62 points a game or something like that. That's not good.
No,
that's
not
good enough.
I know. How much we should have looked into how much their opponents are scoring.
Something like 695 points or something.
So they're getting beaten by an average of almost 40 points a game. Yeah. That is
695 might be Sydney actually. Sorry, okay. I don't remember what the Gold Coast are.
Regardless, I'd say
it's a high amount.
They've got to be getting beaten by about 5 goals a game.
Yeah, which is really it's very interesting because their first 5 games, were settled. All of them were under a goal or something.
I think they were. I know they beat Fremantle by 5 points. Yeah,
they've been spanked a lot in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, and teams didn't actually, although they weren't scoring when they were beating teams by a goal. I know when they played the Dockers, they won by 5 points, but it was like 41-36, somewhere around there.
It wasn't a high scoring game.
No, it was low. So they're not scoring. What do they do to get scoring? What do you think they need to do? Is there anything they can do? Is getting Isaac Rankin back the first thing to fix that?
Oh, I don't know. Lukusiosis comes back into the team this week.
He does. Saves my fantasy side a little. I've
Which
got
is all
players
right,
on the bench.
but
yes.
There was this discussion at the start of the year between the top 3 picks, right?
Yeah.
Rankin, Lukusiosis, and Walsh.
Walsh,
right?
Yeah.
Walsh is so far ahead of them.
Yes.
Like the other two, the Gold Coast Suns picks don't even. They're not even on the board of the same question.
I mean, Rankin's missed a lot of time with injuries, so fair play to him.
He played a game in the preseason, didn't he?
I think he didn't. I think he had a... Was there a game in the preseason where he kicked 3 or 4 goals?
No, he kicked... I think he kicked 2.
Yeah.
And he kicked the first one within the first 5 minutes or something, but he disappeared for the rest of the game, really. But he got a lot of cult hero status.
Yeah, he did.
From kicking those couple of goals.
And he had that before that game too, because people were just touting him to be such a highly rated prospect that he was bound to go into a side like the Gold Coast that doesn't have a player like him.
I didn't get to look into Walsh before we started this. I would have liked that.
Yeah, mate. I want to circle back to the Dogs, and I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Can Aaron Norton and Trengove save their season and somewhat put it back on the rails? Because they've been craving 2 key pillars.
That's a really good question.
Yeah, craving 2 key pillars. They've got them if they're healthy. I mean, they don't have much depth there at all.
I'll tell you
what, that enough?
Trengove is getting a lot of plaudits because he shut down Tom Lynch last week.
Yes.
Tom Lynch is not playing well.
He not moving well for some time, has he?
He's not moving. He hasn't since he came back into the side.
He was kicking goals early, but he wasn't.
He was kicking goals alongside Jack Rewalt.
Yeah,
he doesn't have Jack Rewalt anymore. And as soon as the ball hits the deck, he can't turn. Here's a turning circle of a 16-foot truck.
Yeah, it's not pretty to watch when it hits the ground.
No,
whereas Jack Rewalt, he's got the luxury of if it hits the ground, Jack Rewalt can make the contest.
Lynch isn't even. Every time I've watched him, he's not really actually launching at the ball.
Nah,
he's getting maybe half a foot off the ground.
Do you think he looks like he's in? Has he gone out of second gear?
No, I wouldn't say so. I think he's too big.
Yeah, and Richmond be craving
I think
with
he's lugging around too much weight at the moment, and coming back from PCL is not helping him.
He's got to face Hamling and Pearce this week too. How does that work in Fremantle's favour? I mean, is that a big boost for them, or is this sort of the game that you think Tom Lynch can get a hold of and make his mark? I
tell you what, it depends on the mindset of the Tigers mids.
Right, yeah.
Because it's been very clear that the Tigers mids have not been on point this year. They haven't had that same drive this year that they did last year and the year before.
Do they have, when Cochin's missing, do they have a real inside beast? Because Dusty
was that, but he's a shadow of his former self.
He's not anymore. Sean Grigg used to be a bit of an inside beast. Is he still at that level?
No,
I mean,
I wouldn't imagine so.
Like
Grigg's not even in the team.
He hasn't been playing.
No, he's been injured. He's injured. He's out for
which hurts them too. I mean, missing him, Cochin. There's a few worries for that midfield, and they now have to come to Perth and verse Nat Fyfe. That makes it tough for him.
It's just Nat Fyfe on his own.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say a bunch of other names, but it's just Nat Fyfe. Makes it tough.
Just Nat Fyfe, yeah.
So
he's a bull.
Yeah, it makes it very tough. The Tigers, I'll be interested to see how they go this week. Very interested. I'll be keeping an eye on them. The kids they brought in have impressed.
Yeah.
Sydney Stack's been good. I like Baker. I like Jack Ross. A lot of promise, a lot of hope. There's nothing for Damien Hardwick to be overly kicking himself about.
Yeah, right. Over the next few years, they'll be fine.
Yeah,
they'll still be fine.
They've set themselves up enough.
But I think they were really blessed last year, and they probably would have had the best injury list in the competition.
Yeah, they did. They were healthy last year.
This year, though, they are getting smacked.
Yeah, it's really
it's exposing that depth.
Yeah, it is.
Whereas they didn't have to rely on any of their depth last year.
Yeah,
they had their players on the park.
Very true. Very true. Yes.
I want to share a statistic with you, and I want you to share me your initial thoughts from hearing it.
Okay.
The third last team for scoring in the competition, behind Carlton and Sydney, is West Coast.
Oof. Behind Carlton and Sydney. I knew they were. We spoke about this before the show. I knew that Carlton.
From top of my head, Sydney have scored 516 points for the year. Carlton are about 532. The Suns are 444, and I think the team, which might be North Melbourne, are about 496. West Coast have scored 508 points for the year.
My initial thought is why. So, can you, as a West Coast fan, answer me that? I mean, what's changed dramatically? Has there been any shift that makes you suggest they shouldn't be scoring as much as they were before?
Their defense is top notch.
Yes,
the midfield has dropped off. Yeah. It is completely dropped off. Their midfield has completely dropped off. I think they are either 18th or 16th for hardball get differentials,
right?
For contested ball differentials. So all of the midfield statistics, they are in the bottom three for all of those statistics. Their midfield is letting them down, which then doesn't allow them to drive the ball forward, which then their forwards, as we've seen this year, I don't think a single forward in West Coast lineup has kicked more than 10 goals. Is it just a lack of effort? Because when I look at their midfield and those players, Shuey, Gaff, Yo, Sheed, they're all still there. They're all 4 bona fide AFL players. Sheed flits in and out. At his best, he's very good. Sheed needs to be the apprentice of this team. Marston's been dropped this week, so I'm hoping that allows Sheed to go into the actual cornerstone of the guts. Right, yeah. Which will help out. I think Willie Rioli being out of this team is a huge out as well. Yeah, in terms of scoring, I mean, he's someone who can pop up for 2, 3, 4... He takes the pressure off everyone else. Last year, he was their most reliable in the centre clearances for winning differential centre clearances. Right. If he was in the midfield, they won the centre clearance. Wow. He was their best player in fact, in the very last centre clearance of the game, he was put in there for that reason. Of the grand final. Oh, right, of course, yeah. So after she kicks that goal, Willie Rioli goes into the centre, and they get that clearance. What does he do that makes it so good? I mean, he's a Rioli. Really, yeah. He's bolted. Good point. He's born with football. No, but their defense. I'll tell you what's saving them at the moment is their defense. I think they've only had 530 odd points scored against them, which is amazing considering the midfield's down. You're missing Barras. They need some credit. I mean, I love Brad Shepherd. I think the way he goes about it is fantastic. Totally underrated. Yeah. But yeah, that scoring. How do they fix it? Where do they go to? Do they just try and target Kennedy as much as possible because he's not really producing enough at the moment? No. It's got to be the midfield, isn't it? Yeah. So the only reason that the forwards aren't performing at the moment is because they're just not getting the delivery. Supply. Yeah. They're not even getting very many forward entries, to be honest. Are they? Not quality ones. No. But it's probably something that haters of West Coast, or you would call them haters, have had a knock on them for some time, saying, because you get a successful side, people that support sides that aren't successful are going to try and pick them apart. Yeah. And you would target their midfield because you knew their defense was good. You knew their forward line was top notch. And you'd argue that their midfield has always been a bit shaky. Yeah. Yeah. But the names in it aren't bad. So I don't understand where the problem's coming from. Yeah. They've got the chance to fix it with some easy games. Well, they come against the Saints this week. Which isn't... You don't want to call it easy because the Saints are in the top 8. The Saints are starting to probably drop off a bit. Yeah, they're coming from their early season form. They've got their fair share of own injuries. I did see today there was an article questioning whether they were ready to drop Hunter Clark or not. I didn't see the team for the Saints, actually. I didn't actually know. The Saints are such... And I don't mean any disrespect to the Saints, but the Saints are such a nothing team. They just are what they are. You just don't look into them. Yeah, I agree. Even when they were at the top, everyone was sort of just waiting for it to fall. No disrespect to the Saints. When they were playing well at the start of the year, and they were in that top 4 bracket, fighting for top position with Geelong, I was probably taking more notice of them. But since they've come back to the pack, I forgot that they're even a team. Yeah. Well,
hopefully they don't give you a stark reminder this
week.
Well,
I tell you what, those words are going to come back to bite me now that I've said that. Yeah, that's right.
That could come back to bite you. So touch wood, for your sake anyway. I mean, I don't really care, but touch wood for your sake.
Yeah, until you come up against them yourself.
Yeah. Mate, I wanted to ask you about Port Adelaide. A lot of people were tipping them to lose to the Crows. I mean, they've had their injuries. Matty Broadbent is a great story who comes back for his first game after 647 days.
Yeah, it's been a while. Like yeah, I forget the way that he plays, to be perfectly honest with you. It's been a while since he's played.
I loved watching him play. And then I saw the video today. There was I don't know if you saw it, but Port Adelaide had a video up about the secret cameras. They got the announcement of him coming back inside, and the boys really got around him. It was pretty heartwarming. But I actually didn't realise it had been so long since he played. When I saw his name, I was like, I thought he had retired or something. No.
What did he actually do?
I couldn't even tell you now. Yeah. Really should have
I'll tell you what, Port Adelaide probably missed him in the back line.
Could have been a big difference maker in the years that he missed.
I tell you what, he probably was, because he was a really big force of exiting their 50.
Huge.
And you go back 2 years ago, Port Adelaide were actually playing decently.
I remember he was very, very good at the time when they had that close finish in the elimination fund, the with West Coast, the overtime. I remember he was very good. Yeah, we'll drop that one for you. But I remember him being very good then. But Port Adelaide as a whole, anyway. It's not really touted to beat the Crows, and I didn't think the Crows were ultra impressive last week. I don't see any reason why Port Adelaide couldn't.
And it's really interesting because a lot of the blame for last week's game fell on Ross Lyon, and I'll tell you what, the Crows were playing just as defensively as what Fremantle were. And I'll tell you another thing as well. What is with Fremantle and the Crows? I reckon over the last 10 years, they've produced the 5 worst games of the entire competition.
It's ugly footy when
these two teams, when they get together and play football, are playing an entirely different sport.
I was left somewhat dazed after the Freo game because I was just A, out of breath, but B, I was frustrated. But the way it ended didn't suggest that either side really played overly poorly. They played ugly, but like the 2 50-metre penalties really cost Fremantle. The free kick that wasn't paid against Betts that resulted in an Adelaide goal. Stuff like that. But I don't think Adelaide played that great to suggest that they can just walk in and beat Port Adelaide here. I mean, I know Port Adelaide lost, but they lost to Collingwood, and Collingwood are rampant at the moment.
What's going on, Blue Boo? How you going, mate? I tell you what, I don't have much confidence in either of these teams at the moment.
Nah.
I probably have more confidence in Port Adelaide than I do the Crows, just by the way that they're playing.
So do I. I actually saw a Triple M Adelaide actually put up a tweet saying, would this, if Port Adelaide can get over the line against the Crows, would it be likened to Liverpool's win over Barcelona in the Champions League, which was a phenomenal win. It's the most insane win that, soccer's seen for some time. And, why would this be likened to it? I mean, Port Adelaide have a decent chance.
I tell you what, I think it's probably got a bit to do with the rivalry between... This is...
Maybe.
Okay, the rivalry between Adelaide and Port Adelaide is hands down the best rivalry in footy.
It's extremely underrated.
And has been for a decade.
It's been huge.
It's been one of the best rivalries for the last 20 years. You would say that the best rivalry over the last 10 years would probably be Hawks Geelong.
Yeah, which has been
Crows
amazing.
and Port Adelaide were probably a very close second. Now that Hawks Geelong have dropped off.
Yeah.
This is the most consistent rivalry. And I'll tell you another thing. The AFL don't pay homage to it at all.
No, they don't give it enough limelight. No. Hey, when's it played? Have you got the games?
Saturday night.
It got a night slot.
Which is interesting.
Okay, it got a night slot.
Well, yeah, it got a night slot. But last year, before the fixture came out, the AFL turned around and said that they would give more attention to the showdown and give it a Friday night slot. They don't have one this year.
And who have we got playing Friday night? This Sydney and Essendon.
Yeah.
Why is it not Adelaide and Port Adelaide?
That's a very good question. Because the rest of the nation deserves to see this rivalry because it is
a great...
fierce.
You know what I didn't know?
And it would be a great thing for South Australian football too.
I did not realise that the Crows had won something like 5 of the past 6 of them.
Yeah, so
it was far more even.
No,
I saw that stat this week and I thought, get out.
Typically speaking, when it comes to these two teams, their win-loss ratio goes in ebbs and flows. So before that, Port Adelaide had won 7 in a row. Before that, the Crows had won 6. Before that, it goes like that. There's no 1 to 1 to 1 to 1.
It comes in bunches.
Yeah.
Somewhat like West Coast and Freo has done in the past.
I suppose so.
Unfortunately, we are
7
on the wrong
up now.
And before they went on this run,
9 down.
Fremantle was one win away from tying it for the first time. And tying the count, and then Fremantle decided to fall
That's
apart.
right, yeah. But Fremantle were 9 in a row.
Yes,
Thank you very much, Blue Boo, for the kind comments. Appreciate it. I think it's interesting.
I tipped Port Adelaide. So
I would think Port Adelaide.
I just think they've got a really good mix. However, last week I didn't think they were terrible.
I think this game could be one of those games that launches the winners' season to finals.
Yes.
If Adelaide win, they make finals. If Port Adelaide win, they make finals.
Adelaide kind of need to win to shake the tag of pretenders because they've won, 3 in a row, but it's all been against subpar opposition, I believe. It's been Saints, Freo, and there's another one in there somewhere. They need to show that they're not pretenders.
Yeah, and they need to win convincingly here too. Yeah. They've not played well.
Port's got their share of injuries, and Adelaide, I think you're right, they need to capitalise on that.
Whereas I think Port have actually been impressive this year.
I really liked watching Port. Even
in the Collingwood game,
they
were asleep in the first quarter. They probably would have beaten Collingwood.
I think they just ran into a juggernaut. I don't think it was any knock on them, and I think they got blown away in the first quarter.
I think they got a bit overconfident before the game started.
Maybe, but I do think that they just take that first quarter out of it, and they're very competitive. Yeah, I like Port Adelaide in this game. I just love the kids too. The kids that they have going around.
Yeah, Rosie.
Dersmer as well.
There is discussion about Rosie being a competitor to Walsh for the Rising Star. I think that's to generate discussion. I don't actually think Walsh is...
No, I don't see that.
I don't even think it's close.
No, and different players. One plays more time forward, probably more lethal around the goal. The other wins it at the coalface of the midfield. Different players, and Walsh is going to win that award.
Yeah.
If he, barring injury, he's going to win that award.
Before we go into anything else, I think we might go into the games this week.
All right. And we've got a new flavour on the games this week,
we do, but we're not... So, so basically what we're going to be doing is each of us is going to make a case for a team winning. And then we'll give you our tip for that game at the end of it. But we are to argue a case for each team and how they can win the game. First game on Friday Night Footy is Sydney versus Essendon at the SCG. Justin, I want you to tell me how Sydney win this game.
How does Sydney win this game? Sydney need to get better everywhere to win this game. But I think they need to use the weapons they already have.
Yep.
When
I didn't see Buddy back in this week.
No, I don't think he's back.
Yeah.
Although, working somewhat in Sydney's favour is Danaher is out.
Yes, he's been rested. But Horacio Fantasia comes back in.
Doesn't make things easier for him.
I think he's more important to Essendon than Danaher at this stage.
Somewhat contradicts my point of I was going to say they need to use the weapons they've already got. Because when you fall from as well as they've been, you don't lose everything. You can lose games, but I don't think they've lost a game by more than 22 points this year, Sydney. I think that was a stat I saw during the week. That their highest losing margin is 22 points. So they're not getting blown off the park, and they haven't lost everything. I think they need to use that half backline play that they are renowned for with Rampy and Lloyd. And guys like that.
But I don't think Rampy's a good distributor of the ball.
No, not necessarily. Lloyd definitely is.
Can be. He hasn't been this year.
Can be.
He's very deceptive because if you've got him in your fantasy team, which most people do, you think, he's a gun player. But he's actually been a huge turnover machine this year.
Has he? See, I haven't watched enough of Sydney.
He's been horrible at getting the ball out.
Okay, right. Well, I still think that's where they need to get better then. That's how they win. This backline needs to bounce off because if they aren't, they're going to bog it down. And Essendon's got, with Fantasia back, they've got enough opportunity to snare goals out of nowhere.
Yeah.
They already had that.
It should be noted, this game is played at the SCG, where Sydney have been horrible for the last 2 years at.
Yes. Look, overall, I don't see Sydney winning this game too much, but I think if they do, that bounce off halfback is crucial, particularly at the SCG. If you can do it quick, get it to your forwards, and just give them a chance to be dangerous.
Yeah.
Even without Buddy, just give them a chance to be dangerous.
Yeah.
What's your argument for Essendon?
Okay, so Essendon win this game, I think, quite comprehensively anyway. Their game style of go quick just completely tears Sydney apart.
Yeah, it does.
Sydney like to go slow. They like to play contested. They are a contested machine. That's what they've been for the last 2 decades.
Yeah.
They get the ball on the forward line. Danaher goes out. Horacio Fantasia comes in. It shortens the forward line a bit and is able to then lock that ball in their forward line for a lot longer. And the shortness of the SCG actually makes it easier to lock the ball on the forward line and create scoring opportunities.
Do you think with both Danaher and Buddy out, they might swap Hooker back to the forward line for a run at all, or do you think they don't need him?
No, because Sydney still have Sam Reid and Callum Sinclair running through through the forward line. Yeah. It's too tall to allow Hooker to come out.
And I think, just have Hurley there.
I think you keep Hooker there just for stability's sake and to work up the chemistry for Hooker and Hurley.
Because you're eventually going to bring Danaher back in. He's only been managed, so there's no point just
and
racing
you want
a game.
Hooker to actually get used to playing in defence again because he's been playing in the forward line for the last 2 or so years.
Yeah.
You probably want him to adjust to that back line.
So do Essendon have 2 key forwards in this game? They've obviously they're going to have Stringer.
Mitch Brown, I think.
Yeah. I know that they're in a bit of a ruck crisis because Bellchambers is out and that I can't remember his name, but the young kids.
Zach Clark is listed as an emergency.
Who could get monstered by Callum Sinclair a little bit.
Possibly. This could be one of those games where Zach Clark actually shows he's capable.
Yes, yeah.
Because he is capable. He's always been capable, but he's just...
He always was capable at Fremantle.
Yeah, but he's
terrible,
never been a physical player, and that's been his downfall.
Yeah.
Is when he came into a game and he actually chose to be physical, he dominated.
He was so good.
He was just...
You had that patch, I think it was around 2012. He was brilliant. Yeah. But you're right. He could make an impact. I suppose it's up to him, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
It's up to him. He could have a very big impact on this game.
If he wants to come in and actually play AFL football, he needs to come in with a physical mindset.
Yes. Yeah.
Essendon for me, though.
I'll go Essendon. But at the same time, I'm keeping a watch on Sydney. If they haven't been beaten by that much recently, you never know which Essendon rocks up. If they get the bad Essendon, they could pit them.
Yeah, not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
I think the SCG suits Essendon better with
with how quick they play, and which is why Sydney need to be quick. They need to get quick, and can that happen in a week? I don't know.
I tell you what makes a team look quick, even if they're not, clean ball use, and they don't have it.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't have it.
Yeah, you know they were the youngest team out of. They had the youngest 22 out of any team last week. They do get a bit of a pass.
Like I said last week, this is the year that the Sydney Swans have to go backwards to then go forwards.
To come forwards. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that.
First game on Saturday afternoon: Western Bulldogs versus the Lions at Mars Stadium. I want you to tell me how the Bulldogs win this game.
Aaron Norton. It's as simple as that. That's every game from now on. If I have to make an argument for the Bulldogs every time from now on, I'm just going to say Aaron Norton.
I want you to tell me, why is Tom Liberatore not playing in the midfield?
They have their 3 main weapons, which I believe, although one of them doesn't even get used that much in the midfield because Hunter sort of moves around the ground, doesn't he?
He used to be used. This is what I don't actually know. I couldn't actually tell you where players play in this team. Aaron Hunter? Lockie Hunter? I'm thinking of West Coast.
You are, yeah.
Lockie Hunter used to play off in their premiership year. He played off the halfback wing.
Yeah, and he wing specifically is very good. He moves around a lot. I did notice him on Brad Hill a lot when they played Freo 2 weeks ago. Why is
Libba playing in the forward line? He's not a forward.
Do you think they're using him wrong, or do you think
100%.
Do you think if they move him back to the midfield, he's got the potential to make a say on games, or do you just think he's not as good as people think he is?
I'll tell you what. Okay, besides last week, because last week they came up against Richmond, which is a bit of an anomaly because Richmond played very poorly.
The worst footy we've seen them play in 2 years now.
The Bulldogs in the first 2 or 3 games compared to the Bulldogs in the last 2 or 3 games, who do you think's better?
Oh, I'm the Dogs from
at the start of the year.
Well, I think the last 2 games they've actually been quite good. I thought against Freo that they weren't dismal. They just Aaron Norton ran into Hamling Pierce, and that's what Freo hangs their hat on at the moment.
I think that the Dogs at the start of the year are better than what the Dogs were now.
What shifted there? Was it because the Liberatory in the middle thing? Was he
playing in the middle?
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah, all right.
And that's where he should. That's where he's a contested ball machine.
Yeah.
The player that I liken him to most and have always likened him to most is Matt Prittis.
Yeah, it's a good comparison. I'll tell you who I could liken someone to Matt Prittis last week, didn't it? It was every week we're going to find someone who plays like Matt Prittis. Okay, but no, Liberatory, I agree.
I don't understand why he's not in the midfield. That's his best position, and he is their best contested player.
Yeah.
By a long way.
I think they've got their few weapons that they like to use in McRae, Bont,
so
who else are they running in the midfield?
Use them as outside weapons, though, which is their best.
Mitch Wallace, they're running Mitch Wallace in the middle because he had a good game against Freo.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Well, he goes in between the midfield and the forward. I think they play him predominantly forward at the moment.
Okay, right. I know they had one change this week. It's nothing to do with the midfield, but I know Suckling comes in and Dixon goes out.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I think they'll get it done just with Aaron Norton. Although my reasoning on that is somewhat shook by Harris Andrews returning to Brisbane's side.
He's come back in.
So what's your reasoning for Brisbane's win?
Well, the Lions win based on that they're a better team. They've got I feel like they've got a better midfield. They've got a better forward line compared to the Bulldogs' defence. Trengo had a good game last week, but I think that was on the back of Tom Lynch just not being a good player at the moment.
He was.
I don't think Trengo is the player to save the Bulldogs, as you put to me before.
Yeah.
And I think their forward line is better than what the Bulldogs' defence is as well. The Lions team across all three lines is better. And I think they're actually performing better as a cohesive team than what the Bulldogs are.
Who have the Lions' significant wins come against this year? They beat Port Adelaide when Port Adelaide was really up and about. That was a good one. Other than that, have they had many significant wins? Because
Brisbane?
Yeah.
They flogged West Coast.
Well, they flogged West Coast in round one, of course. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry to ask you that.
And I'm pretty sure they beat... Well, you can't call Sydney a good team. They beat Sydney last week.
So I'm still... they're a good side, and they're a top 8 side, Brisbane.
Yeah.
Happy to say that. I'm still thinking the jury's out on how good they are. I don't know.
I think...
But they're showing all the right signs. Yeah. You can only beat who's in front of you, can't you? So who are their two losses to? They've had two losses. One came against Collingwood.
Yeah.
And one
which was up at Gabba, and now there was one down here, I think, against Essendon.
Could have been Essendon, yeah. I think it might have
Which
been
were two floggings.
Yeah.
They are leaking goals. Yeah. They are leaking goals. What joke? They don't have a better midfield. What joke was that? Okay, fair enough.
Brilliant, that's what I'm going for.
Fair enough, madman. Fair enough, madman.
Who did they run through the midfield with Lachie Neale? They run Zorko, Neale.
Yeah, Mitch Robinson runs through there. They've got Berry. They've got...
See, those are quality players. Although, I think...
They've got... McCluggage is having an outstanding year this year as well.
He's great. I tell you what, out of the... the two draft picks that went before McCluggage, I believe, were McGrath and Taranto. I believe that you'd take him before McGrath. Would you take him before Taranto? Has he been better than Taranto?
I tell you what, McCluggage has only impressed me this year. He's been...
Yeah.
He
was on the radar last year, though. I think he was improving last year.
Yeah, and McGrath was tipped to have a big year this year. It hasn't quite culminated for him yet, but I would still say he's probably got he's got a higher ceiling than either of those two players.
Yeah. No,
it's
absolutely.
It's tricky.
Yeah.
It's still, to be fair, I think it's still too early to call that yet.
Yeah. Well, either way, I'm going to go with our resident commenter, and I'm going to go that the Bulldogs have the better midfield because I think, from memory, they're actually number one in the clearances in the league. Maybe not after last week, but I think entering last week.
Possibly.
They probably still could be after last week.
They tend to be a contested machine.
I think a lot of that hangs on
I think they're better with Libba in the middle.
Yeah. Look, I'm actually going to go with the Dogs.
Please move Libba into the middle because... Or actually, don't move Libba into the middle because I've moved him out of my team and he has been a shanker for the last 2 weeks.
Yes.
I'm going for the Lions.
I'm going to go with the Dogs.
I actually went for the Dogs last week and you didn't.
No, I didn't. I went with Richmond. Look, I think I'm going to stick with the Dogs. I tip the Dogs in my work competition.
No, I'm going with the Lions. I think Mars Stadium suits the Lions gameplay as well.
Yeah. How does it go as a stadium? Is it...
it's a fast deck.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It always has been. Because it's a hard service.
Blocky Neal then, yes.
Second game of Saturday. Carlton take on Collingwood at the MCG. Justin, I want you to tell me how Carlton win this game. How do they win?
All right.
At the MCG.
They score more points. Is all I mean, Collingwood's outs were big. They're Beams and Adams. Yeah, they've got 100 more of them where they came from probably, but Beams and Adams are big outs.
Yeah.
Carlton's ins are quite good. McGovern, Cruiser, Setterfield. Setterfield gives you a little...
Cruiser is a huge difference to that team.
If they didn't have him, he's still going to lose the battle to Brodie Grundy. I don't see him winning it. But if they didn't have him...
That's interesting.
If they didn't have Cruiser, they would get smashed in that battle.
I think Cruiser breaks even.
You think he breaks even?
Yeah.
You think he's got what it takes to go toe-to-toe with Grundy?
I think... Okay. I think people tend to forget a bit about how good Cruiser can actually be because he's had so many injuries over his career.
Very true.
Cruiser is actually a very good ruckman.
He's very mobile bad,
as well. And he's had a pretty decent... I think this is the first year that he's actually completed a preseason in however long it has. And it showed in his form. He's been good this year.
And I think also getting McGovern back on top of that, structural-wise, they're better than they were last week. Yeah. You can't get worse than they were last week.
No,
where does
last
it leave
week,
them
last week was
week?
their worst game for the year.
Where does that leave them? Although,
about
having said that, you say you tipped the Dogs last week. Well, I tipped North last week, so let's give props to that.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
But where do you think that puts them? Where does that leave Carlton? They're going to be...
No, I don't think it changes much. They're still a young team.
Yeah.
I think they would have been expecting some big losses over the course of the team, and that would be very naive to suggest that they wouldn't have discussed that in the preseason.
Yeah.
Look, we're not going to be, right there, but we are actually going to start pushing this year.
Yeah.
We're probably still going to a couple of big losses, which they've copped one big loss.
One. Yeah.
The opening 7 rounds.
To a team that they shouldn't have copped it though.
No, that's true. However, I think North are a bit up and down themselves.
Yes, yeah, they are.
You could have argued that North could have come out and smacked them. You could have argued that. Well, I did argue that they were going to come out and smack North last week.
Right.
Young teams are unpredictable, and they can come out and have big losses. They can come out and have big wins as well.
Yes, they can.
Confidence is a huge thing in this game, and specifically, it's even bigger for young teams.
Absolutely. The midfield, it's funny, hey, because the midfield battle in this one, by sheer weight of numbers, Collingwood gets the tick of approval.
You would think so.
But it only takes one bloke to win a clearance, and that bloke is Patrick Cripps. That bloke might be Sam Walsh.
Yeah.
Could
even be Mark Murphy.
Yeah. What? It's an easy question. What gets Collingwood over the line?
Do I really need to argue this? Collingwood get over the line because they just have a better team.
Yeah.
I think they just have to be careful.
Yeah.
If they go into this game thinking they've already won it, Carlton will make this very difficult for them. Yeah. And I think this week Carlton will come out and actually with a much more defensive mindset this week.
Yeah, and I think they're capable of doing that by getting tall players back that
which
can help
doesn't help
even contests.
Collingwood.
No.
The good thing that Collingwood have is they have both types of game styles on their bow that they can use at any point in time. They can go fast or they can slow it down depending on the tempo of the game.
Yeah.
And the tempo that they want.
Yeah.
I don't think that much needs to be said in how Collingwood.
I think we're both going with Collingwood.
Collingwood win this.
Yeah.
The first Saturday night game? No. This is Saturday twilight. Gold Coast Suns versus Melbourne at Metricon. Tell me how the Suns win.
They can win. There's nothing to say the Suns can't win this game. I think Melbourne... who did Melbourne beat? Hawthorn. They squeaked by Hawthorn.
5 points, yeah.
Nothing impressive. to me about that. Needed win for Melbourne. Might actually get them going.
Possibly.
But I think the Suns coming back home, this is the game where last week we were talking about how Melbourne needed to win to keep their season alive. They need to win again to keep their season alive.
They need to keep winning.
And I
think that's the general consensus for footy, right?
Yeah,
you need to keep winning games of footy to be able to make finals.
That's very true. The Suns, who have not been winning games of footy, I think
they're 3 and 4.
3 and 4. So okay. They were they?
They're ahead of late.
So they've lost 4.
No, they were 3 and 1.
3 and 1. So they've lost 3 on the trot now.
I think so. Yeah.
We talked about their terrible scoring before.
Yes.
That needs to obviously improve.
Yeah.
And that, much like we talked about with West Coast scoring, will improve with better play through the midfield.
It will, and I think they play Metricon much better.
Their outs,
they're a pretty good time. They're a pretty good team at Metricon.
They are.
I didn't actually see what
I
their
know
team
Fiorini is out.
Yep.
Which I think hurts them a little bit. I can't think of the others off the top of my head. Suns, I think, win this game. Just putting pressure on Melbourne. Melbourne have become the side last year. They were the side who loved the pressure game. They were they were thriving on it. I think. We talk about teams usually what they need to do to win. We've said it multiple times already tonight is get fast.
Yeah.
I don't think the Suns need to get overly fast.
No.
I think they need to just be physical with Melbourne and really, really give it to those guys. I mean, Viney's back in for Melbourne and he...
Surprisingly.
Surprisingly. So that... Who I can't remember who they got rid of for Viney, or who was injured or someone was out. I think it was one of their fringe players. Oh, Neil Bullen. Neil Bullen actually went out.
So he's the only change.
Yeah, so look, the Suns just need to get physical for me. I think they need to really take it to Melbourne and just say, hey, you're on our home deck. There's nothing easy on our home deck.
Are the Suns able to get physical?
Probably not.
It's easy saying that's all they need to do, but can they? Have you actually seen the Suns employ that game style?
I don't even know if they've employed it in their wins this year, to be honest.
I couldn't tell you if they've even done it in their...
I really like Stewie Dew as a coach. I think he's really good, but can they get physical? They're probably too young. Bringing Viney back in for Melbourne probably doesn't help their cause in needing to get physical.
Does Viney get stacked again?
I really hope so. It's nice when he does.
Because you would have to know that his shoulder is still hurting.
You'd have to. But who can you go after him with that? I mean, does Took Miller go and try and get a bit physical? He's a good player for it.
David Swallow, maybe?
Yeah, I was going to say Swallow's playing, so they've got options and they've got avenues. They just need to play really, and they can't turn the ball over too much. That's sort of what's happening.
Well, Lukosiosis comes back into the team.
I think he's crisp, isn't he? He's quite a good user of the footy.
Typically speaking.
I'd like to see him have a big game. It's probably too early to be asking him to do that.
Do you think they run him through the midfield or do they run him through the forward line? Which is typically what happens for young midfielders trying to break into a team. They normally dump him into the forward line instead of actually in their position.
I think it comes with the situation the game's in. I think if you think you can use him in the midfield and it's a crunch time, crucial time, and you think, hey, this kid's full of talent, let's put him in.
I tell you what would be a good message to him and a huge show of confidence and faith. Opening bounce.
Straight in.
Straight in
would be good. Like I said, it's too early to ask him to have a big game, but I really hope he does.
Don't ask him to have a clearance. Don't ask him to have a clearance. Ask him, tackle.
Yeah, be involved.
Yeah.
Be involved in the play. And that's all you can ask of him at the moment. How does Melbourne get the job done, mate?
Melbourne win through the midfield, really.
Yeah.
If they can actually be clean in the midfield. Okay, so Melbourne played their best footy against the Hawks when they stopped adhering to their structure.
Yeah.
When they
go free flowing, right?
When they just went, when they just played on and went, and they just went.
Yeah.
The problem with Melbourne this year is they've been just piss farting around with the ball. They've tried to emulate.
They really have.
They've fallen into the trap of trying to emulate the Premier's game plan, and it does not work for Melbourne. Melbourne played their best footy by just playing on and playing like Richmond, the previous Premier. It suits their players. Their players don't have that kind of skill.
This is what I can't understand. If you look at their players and just go, all right, well, Clayton Oliver can pull a handball out of anywhere and find someone, and Angus Brayshaw's second efforts are insane. To me, that just adds up to free-flowing footy, doesn't it? Just going to play some chaos ball and go win it.
Their team suits free-flowing footy. Yeah. Stop trying to kick and mark the ball across the ground and control the ball. Just get it forward. And I'll tell you what, Tom McDonald will have a big game if they do. Because his positioning for chaos ball entries is second to none.
A big game for him would be amazing for his confidence too.
Yeah.
Tom McDonald's been almost a whipping boy in this losing Hogan, he doesn't have the squad, he becomes an easy target.
Unfortunately, that's because the midfield's entries have been garbage.
Yes.
Yeah, absolute garbage.
The midfield's not overly skilled, are they? They win the footy quite well, but they're not overly skilled. I
wouldn't say so.
I'm going to go with Melbourne.
I'm actually going to go with the Suns.
Right.
I think the
Maybe
Suns
we should have just switched our arguments.
I think the Suns are actually very good at Metricon. I think they will win most of their games at Metricon this year.
Yeah, I think they're hard to beat there. I don't hate the tip, but I'm going to stick with the D's.
First Saturday night game, which is actually the game. Okay, so this actually goes into even more that the AFL is not adhering to paying homage to the Port.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
The game that is being played on Melbourne free to wear, Saints versus West Coast.
You're joking?
Nah.
Really?
On Saturday night. Yeah.
Wow.
Versus
in Melbourne.
Compared
to
Adelaide versus Port Melbourne, Port Adelaide, they're not showing the biggest rivalry in the competition.
So that
they're
they
showing
can show
Saints versus
St Kilda versus West Coast. I guess West Coast are the reigning premiers. Maybe that's why they want to cash in on that.
I think it has more to do with they're in the first time slot.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well,
how do the Saints win?
Play some crisp footy and stop turning it over, I reckon. Having said that, I don't think the Saints are out of the question in this game.
Yep.
I don't think they're that bad. I think each forward line, which probably means each midfield as it does all the time, but each forward line needs to needs to really grab their opportunities, particularly the Saints, because if they don't, West Coast is going to hurt them.
Yeah, particularly West Coast defence.
Yeah, exactly. I think the likes of Jade Gresham needs to have a big game. He needs to have a big one, and so does Matty Parker. I think again, probably not someone you would ask for a big game.
Yeah, not yet,
but someone you want to. If you get a big game out of them, it's a massive bonus because you're not asking for it.
Has Savage been playing this year?
Yeah, he played really well about 2 weeks ago, I think. Against the Crows, he got like 120 fantasy points, although that doesn't stack up to great play. But I did notice that he got a big fantasy total. And then there are ways the Saints can win. I don't think they'll win. My tip's going to be with West Coast, but there are ways that they can get the job done. Their injuries are taking a toll on them. Is Josh Bruce injured or is he playing?
No, I think he got injured last week.
Right, okay.
So I don't think he actually played last week because he injured his leg the week before.
No, Jack Stephen.
He's gone for a bit.
Does Billings play more midfield than forward in this game?
You would think so. Billings has actually had a good start to the year.
He's had a really good start.
Yeah,
I actually put him in my fantasy side about 2 weeks ago.
I think he needs to play in the midfield.
Yeah. I think he needs to. Particularly because we said before that West Coast midfield hasn't been impressive.
No.
So St Kilda just need to take advantage of all the areas where West Coast have been bad. I mean, you really prefer to play your own game style, but this is a game where Saints probably need to look at what West Coast has been doing and just capitalise on what they've been doing poorly.
Yeah.
How does West Coast win for you?
It's a tricky one. West Coast win by bringing back their clean ball movement. They've been faffing around with the ball, handball. Their strength is kicking and controlling the ball.
They've always been.
They haven't been doing that this year. They haven't been controlling the tempo of the game. I find that they've actually been trying to go fast too much, which has gone away from their game style. I don't know why they've tried to. I don't know. Maybe it's they're trying to evolve their own game style to a point where they're not so predictable like last year. But predictability isn't always a bad thing.
I don't think so, particularly when your pillars are Kennedy and Darling. If you're going to be predictable and go to them and feed it to them well, they're going to make the most of it. Good luck to a defense trying to stop them.
I would say that their backline has probably been one of the best backlines in the competition, only because they've actually handled the immense pressure that their midfield has allowed on them.
How are they going in, I don't know if you know it off the top of your head, how are they going in points scored on them? We talked about them not being a good scoring
very
side
well,
before.
So I think that I couldn't tell you what position they are, like.
Yeah.
But they've only had about 530 points scored against them.
Yeah, okay. So they're really solid defense considering the midfield's not been
with their scoring.
Not been on par.
Yeah, I think they're in the top. I think they're in the top 8 of scores against, but I couldn't tell you exactly where they sit.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so their defense is very good, but I think their defense is having a bit more trouble this year compared to last year with getting it out of their defensive 50.
Yeah,
which adheres to what I was saying last week. When an opponent kicks it behind, teams are struggling more to get it out of their defensive half because their zones are
pushed back.
Which means that Hearn and Jeddah can't use their weapons out of defence anymore.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to go with West Coast.
I think West Coast,
by no means said and done.
But I'm not confident in that tip.
Yeah, and I mean, what did you make of them against the Suns last week? Out to a big lead, then the Suns claw it back. It's not pretty, but it got the job done. I sort of see a similar scenario maybe taking place in this St Kilda game.
Possibly. West Coast need to get off to a good start.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if they don't, then it heaps a ton of pressure on them.
I tell you what, West Coast need to get off to a big start, and Kennedy needs to kick a bag.
Which would be great for both for the confidence of that entire team, particularly Kennedy. Kennedy kicking bags. Everyone else in that team, when Kennedy's kicking bags, must just sit back and go,
everyone stands taller.
Man,
because he doesn't just kick bags, he dishes off and he brings others into the game.
He's really good at the ground level. I think it takes a relief off everyone. I'm going to go with West Coast, yeah. And
then the forgotten game of the round, Power versus Crows at Adelaide Oval, which is the second Saturday night game. It is the Power's home game. How do they win?
They get super quick. They get really quick because they're really good when they get really quick. They got quick against Collingwood last week. They were bogged down as hell in the first quarter because Collingwood makes it hard when they win the footy initially.
Yeah.
I don't think...
They only kicked 3 behinds in the first quarter.
Yeah. It's that's not great, but...
what was Charlie Dixon, guys?
Yeah, I do think...
he would have kicked another 3.
I do think that Port wins this game, actually. So I think I like the midfield. I think Boak probably needs to have another big one. I mean,
he's been having a big year.
He's had big ones, and when they've won, he's had massive ones. I actually think Broadbent 647 days won't actually phase him that much because he always seemed like a bit of a professional. So I think he comes in and makes a bit of a difference.
Yeah. He's Port Adelaide's old-looking man, 40-year-old.
Yeah, who went out for Port Adelaide to get him in? Someone was injured. I don't know who.
I didn't actually know the Broadbent.
Their outs are bad, actually. Their outs are like Ebert is one of them, which kind of hurts them.
Kind of. He's been playing forward line.
I suppose who the other
actually,
one was.
I only just thought about this now. There was a question raised at the start of the year, why is Ebert playing in the forward line instead of the midfield where he's predominantly always played?
Yeah.
It's because Charlie Dixon's not there.
And I also
he's
think...
a big player.
I also think when he was in the midfield, they were kind of slow. I thought... they have a lot of players that win a lot of footy but don't go overly fast.
Yeah, they don't have a great outside play.
Yeah, I think they like to try and get a bit quicker. Who runs through the midfield at the moment with Boak? They've got Boak. They've got
Wines,
who's great.
Is Robbie Gray playing midfield or forward?
I think he's been injured, hasn't he? I don't know, but he was playing. Sure. I think he was playing midfield and then he got injured. May not be correct on that one. Don't quote me, but I think that might be it.
Is it Sam Powell-Pepper?
Yeah, Powell-Pepper's been in there. Yeah. So
but they're all kind of slow.
But they've never been overly quick. But I think on the outside they got quicker. Dersma's been great. He's been pretty quick.
Yeah, very good.
Rosie's obviously lightning quick.
Yeah.
Broadbent probably he's old. Probably adds to.
I don't think he's quick though.
Not pace with the legs.
He's a good distributor, and like I said before, clean footy is fast footy,
and he can kick the ball long and hit a target. I think Port Adelaide probably need to. Again, young kids just need to have big games, and I like.
Can they keep relying on these young kids to have big games though?
Maybe not for the whole year, but we're only in round 8, so I think it's fair to say.
When do they start dropping off? Or when do they need to be rested?
Well, I mean, they might just be freak good kids and they might have a great year. I think, but maybe around round 14, you might look at giving someone like Willem Drew a bit of a spell.
Well, that's just after the buys, though.
Oh, yeah, true. So maybe they just wait till the buy and then they can wait it out and get a bit of a rest there and recoup. Have they already given Rosie a rest? I think they might have already given Rosie a rest.
Yeah, possibly.
And he's probably the one in this game where he needs to really take control of Adelaide's defence. Adelaide's defence is great once they've got the footy. When they don't have it, not overly fantastic. Rosie could kick a few goals. What's your
5 a couple of weeks ago? So.
Yeah, he can kick a few. What's your argument?
I think Crows win this game by making this a contested game. I think they've got better contested ball winners in. So you've got Sloane, you've got the Crouch brothers. You got is Douglas in the team, or was he dropped a few weeks ago?
I think he was dropped a few weeks ago, and I can't remember if this came to fruition or not. But I saw a report earlier today that Gibbs might not be playing.
No, he's not playing. He's been dropped. He's got back spasms.
Right,
he's out. You look at it. If you actually look at the names on the team sheets, you think just on reputation alone, Adelaide has a better team.
But we've said that for Adelaide just for how long?
Playing well enough. They're not playing fast. I actually think Adelaide are quicker than what Port Adelaide are.
Could be.
I think the quick game suits them better. Specifically, it suits their forward line better.
Yeah, well, they need to get over
because they have a much more unpredictable forward line. The Crows,
they do
with Eddie Betts in there.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. Lachlan Murphy's actually been quite good for them. He's been impressive.
And I tell you what, it doesn't matter where these teams are on the ladder. It doesn't even matter how good or poorly these teams are. Typically speaking, actually, the worst team on the ladder tends to win this game. It's an odd rivalry.
I said it before. I couldn't believe that the Crows have won 5 of the last 6.
5 of the last 6. The only ones that they lost was where Ken Inkley went a bit overboard. With the that was a bit overboard. That broke the 5, but then the Crows won the second game of the year.
Yes, yeah. I think.
Hello, hi X. How you going, mate?
I think Port Adelaide are going to win this game, though. I'm going to go with them. I actually can't think of too many reasons why I think they're going to win this game.
My gut feel is the power as well, but like we were saying, it was either off camera or on camera. Whoever wins this game makes finals.
I think so. Yeah, that's a
if
really
Power
good call.
Win, they make finals. Yeah. If they lose, they don't.
So where are the Power on the ladder at the moment?
I think they're in the top 8.
I think they're 6th. Or are they even higher?
I couldn't tell you. Without it being in front of me, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, but Crows are...
Let us know.
I think. Yeah,
let us know where they are.
Just a heads up. We're not professional. We didn't check anything.
I only have so much room on my sheets of paper to write this information down, unfortunately. All right, so we've got both Power.
Yeah.
First Sunday game... Adelaide should win easily. High X. Adelaide should win easily. That's a big call. Big call.
Is that could just be because of Port Adelaide's injury. So I can't remember who else went down next to Ebert, but I'm pretty sure there was a decent player.
The only thing that worries me is the fact that Adelaide cannot play good football at the moment.
Yeah,
they just don't know how.
Yeah, and Tex Walker got shut down again last week.
Yeah.
So yeah.
North Melbourne versus the Cats at Marvel Stadium. First game of Sunday. I want you to tell me how North Melbourne win this game.
Yeah, how tough it is making arguments for home sides this week. You get home sides and you're like, oh, this is going to be so easy. This is going to be great. Well, this is difficult. I've got to make Carlton beat Collingwood. I've got to make North beat Geelong. How did North win this? Carry on. Just carry on from what you did last week.
They played very well last week.
I like, what's his name? Zerhas, is it? Cameron Zerhas?
Yes.
Really good last week.
Zeeble back into the midfield. Finally.
Needs to be there.
Finally.
Just be there. He's a contested
He's their
machine.
best midfielder.
Yeah, just put him in. Did Higgins play last week? I think he did. He might have played pretty well, didn't he?
Yeah, he played better because he was freer in the midfield because Zeeble was in there.
Yeah, yeah. How many did Ben Brown kick? He got 4 or something like that.
And Zerha got 5.
Just carry on. Just keep doing what you're doing. Get Ben Brown to make it really hard for the Cats defence, which is the number 1 defence in the competition.
I tell you what, the biggest change for them was they completely changed their game style.
Yeah.
Completely changed their game style.
I thought they were
It allowed Higgins
impressive.
to be back on the outside as opposed to being on the inside. And his use of the ball is probably the best in the team.
Who else popped up for a good game last week? I don't think I caught the Roos game, but who popped up for a good
game? I was listening to on the radio while I was at work, so I was listening in. I was tuning in and out.
I think it was mainly their senior players, but they had some young kids. I mean, Zerhas popped up for a really good one,
and it helped that their defense wasn't so exposed because Carlton just couldn't get it down there.
No, they couldn't. They couldn't. I mean, they've got no doubt they've got a huge task ahead of them trying to beat
against the
Geelong.
Cats.
But just carry on.
I tell you what, the only thing that, I suppose the only thing that goes in their favour is, can the Cats play fast on Marvel Stadium?
Yeah, I think they still can.
Yeah.
I think they've got enough clean ball use. They come out of the back line really well. Their poor ball use, actually, to me, comes more from their midfield if Tim Kelly's not involved. If he's not involved, then it gets really bogged down. You know what's funny? Actually, I went on the Brownlow predictor for the AFL this week, the website that runs their Brownlow predictor, and Tim Kelly's sitting at the top.
Interesting. He's had good games.
They think he's got 11 votes at the moment. I mean,
what's interesting for me, is I look at his stats this week to see just how good Tim Kelly was actually playing. And a lot of his stats are pretty... I mean, they're good, but they're pretty ordinary for the plaudits that he's receiving.
Yeah, okay? He gets so much love.
I'm going to give you some... I'm going to give you some stats
so in some ways, but here, let us know.
He's averaging 24.4 disposals a game. It's not a lot for a high-end midfielder, right? Not one that you would think would be winning a Brownlow.
Do you say that sits slightly above average, or do you think that's
no? I think 24.4 is about average.
About average.
It's not above average.
Yeah.
6.4 clearances a game. It's pretty. I'd say that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's winning 2 centre clearances a game.
Okay. Right.
This is an interesting one though, and I find that it actually matches up with the way that Tim Kelly plays, and you think of him as a player. He wins 1.7 frees 4. So he's actually had 12 frees this year.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Have a guess at how many he's given away.
I don't think he gives away too many. 0?
2.
He's
given away 2 free kicks this year.
Okay, yeah.
And you think Tim Kelly, you go, yeah, he wouldn't give it. He doesn't. Well, you just don't think he gives away. That means not only is he tackling correctly, which he averages 5 tackles a game.
Yeah.
Right. So he's not giving away.
It's impressive to average 5 tackles a game and only give away 2 free kicks a game is quite
It's not
good.
2 free kicks a game. It's
2 free kicks overall. I mean,
over 7 games.
Hugely impressive. Yeah.
And he's not getting caught with holding the ball and everything too. Considering how much he's getting the ball and how much he's tending to deliver the ball.
I actually think those 2 free kicks are just taking a stab in the dark. I don't know this at all. Would have maybe come off high tackles or out on the bound, out on the full.
Out on the full doesn't count towards. It doesn't count towards a free. It is a free kick against, but it doesn't actually count to that stat
towards the player. Okay.
Zewell belongs in the midfield. We agree, Hayek. We
agree. Totally on board with you.
He's averaging just under 1 goal a game, which for a midfielder is okay. It's pretty average, I would say. It's what you want.
Yeah, you want a goal a game out of your midfielder. If you can get 22 goals out of Tim Kelly for the year, you'd be pretty happy.
Now, you said that his disposal efficiency was pretty good, yeah?
I thought it would have been.
66.1%. I wouldn't say that's good.
No,
I would say that's below average.
Do you think he's under a lot of pressure when he gets the footy? Or do you think...
I don't know. You don't think it when you...
he always seems to have space.
Of him.
And maybe that's just how calm he is, and maybe he is under pressure. And
he actually averages 4.3 clangers a game. But in saying that, with that, he's averaging 11 contested possessions a game.
Right, okay.
Which is roughly half of his possessions are contested.
Yeah.
So if you are suggesting that, then definitely... you don't think that he's a big contested player. He's more on the outside. But
he sort of hits it at full pace, and that makes you think it's not... He's still picking it up in a pack, but he hits it at full pace and sort of splits it open a lot. Do you think, with him being at the top of the AFL.com.au Brownlow predictor, do you think he's a realistic chance to go on and win the Brownlow? I mean, it's been 7 rounds. Do you think he'd have enough?
Look, he can.
Yeah.
No doubt that he can. He is, at the moment, by far and away, Geelong's best player and best midfielder.
Yeah, I would totally agree. Yeah.
Dangerfield is tending to play in the forward line. Ablett is playing in the forward line. And Selwood slowed down a bit.
Yeah, he's back in this week, Selwood, actually. Yeah.
And
I think is the one change they'll make.
Ablett's not out.
Yeah. Yeah, Ablett's not out. That's right.
Why is he not out? Shouldn't he be suspended?
He should be, yes. He should be on house arrest.
Yeah, he should be.
He
should be suspended.
That was ridiculous.
He only got off because he's the son of God.
Yes. When you're Jesus, it's hard to convict you.
Anyway, Cats win this game.
Cats win the game.
I don't. Again, this is. It's pretty hard to actually argue that the Cats are going to win based on an argument that you don't already know. There's nothing that I can throw up that I think it's pretty,
we all know.
I think it's pretty comprehensive. The Cats are going to win.
I think the general consensus is the Cats win. And if you disagree, light us up in the comments. But I think you'd probably be alone.
This is a good one. Hawks versus GWS at the MCG.
This is a good one. Let's talk about Jared Roughhead.
Yeah, big.
What the hell?
Big out.
What happened?
Big out. Yeah, big dropping. And I want to know. I'd be interested to know how many games is he actually going to be playing in the VFL for? Because he's not dropped. He's not omitted by injury.
No, he's just
playing VFL this year. It's the first time that he's played in the VFL in 7 years.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was he coming back? Probably coming back from an injury
I
that
would
point.
think so. Well, 7 years ago was what, 2012? So Buddy's still on the team. They wouldn't have needed him.
Yeah, and they would have said...
Actually, I think he was coming back off of his Achilles snap.
Probably, yeah. Huge, because I know Clarkson signalled at the end of the game against Melbourne. He was like, we're going to have to make some changes. We don't stay middle of the pack.
Is he the only change that they've made?
I think there was another one, but it was a reasonable one. It wasn't anything to be shocking.
Rough,
Wingard's injured.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
He's done his hamstring.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, no one saw it coming. Unless you're a mega Hawthorn fan who knows Alistair Clarkson.
I want you to tell me how the Hawks win without Roughhead and Wingard.
I honestly don't know, but I think this has got to be... Is it systematic? Do you think this is systematic? Do you think they've dropped Roughhead solely because they think he's bad for the team against GWS and they'll bring him back? Or do you think they've dropped him on form alone and that's why he's in?
I would think form would be one of the biggest ones because he's... Well, last week he got eight possessions and kicked a goal, but that goal was a gimme to him.
Yeah.
He was given to it.
Yeah, so he got 8 touches, right? Yeah.
And I don't think he hasn't played well this year.
Yeah.
He didn't play well last year, and there were talks in the media about him retiring and everything.
Yeah, that's
right. And he said, no, I'm going to go on. I think that's the wrong decision.
Yeah, I think it could have been. And to see something like this,
I think what he should have done maybe is just to stay with the Hawks and go into a coaching role.
Yeah,
that's what he should be doing this year.
It baffles me because as much as Clarkson's happy to move on from players and really just go past them, it baffles me to think that he wouldn't stay loyal to someone like Jared Roughhead. And I'm impressed by it from Alistair Clarkson to make that call.
No, it doesn't surprise me though.
He's a coach ready to do what he has to do to win, isn't he? Yeah. So no surprises. But
I don't think like Roughhead would feel bad because he knows Clarkson is that kind of.
Can you really be mad? You won what 3-4 premierships? You won 4
premierships.
You can't be.
He's not going to be there.
He can't be mad. He goes to Box Hill.
I think he finishes up at the end of this year.
He's probably going to be telling stories at Box Hill with a beer after the game.
Actually, here's a question for you: does he finish up before the mid-season draft this year? To allow the Hawks to pick up another player. And this is something I've only just thought of. Does he maybe...
Is that something that we wait a couple of weeks and see if he's not brought back in... I'd say if he's not brought back in 3 weeks, very possible. Because we've seen Lewis, Hodge and Mitchell all happy to move on to make way so the Hawks can get better and then they go on to whatever else is the next chapter. Jared Roughhead strikes me as he's cut from the same cloth as them. If he thinks it'll make the Hawks better... He's probably happy to step away.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. He is that kind of player. He's that kind of person, really, isn't he?
I tell you what, if he's not back next week even, that's got to become a serious discussion.
Hyax reckons Frawley might play forward. I reckon that would be the wrong move by Clarkson. Frawley's not a forward player.
Nah, he's not.
Anytime he's been tried there, he's not been good.
I don't hate the thought behind that, given that they just are going to be lacking forwards. But
if anything, I think Sicily moves forward.
Yeah, I would say so. He's played there at the start of his career
very well too. Yeah.
I mean, and plus, outside of Frawley, and they're clutching at straws, even with Frawley, who do you put on Jeremy Cameron? Like, who do you stop this man with? Because he is on a rampage.
I actually think Jeremy putting a smaller player works better against Jeremy Cameron.
It could do. Yeah. How's GWS's delivery out of their midfield? Are they clean?
It's been very good to Cameron.
Yeah.
I tell you, if a forward in your forward line is kicking bags like that, then the delivery from your midfield is going all right. Because he's not the only one popping up kicking bags.
Yeah. Look, I think the Hawks, if anything.
Who's the other forward that they've got in their team?
They're running I mean, the other tall.
Yeah.
Because it's not. You're not thinking of Toby.
Finlayson.
Finlayson, right?
And he's having a decent year as well.
Yeah.
So
Probably just a byproduct
so
of how good Cameron's
it's
playing.
not just Cameron is having a good year.
Yeah.
If he is also kicking goals, then it says something that the midfield
true.
is doing their job and delivering the forward.
Yes. I think the Hawks. To answer your question, I think the Hawks win this game, and it's probably not out of the question. It's very unlikely, but it's not out of the question that the Hawks could win off becoming versatile by dropping Roughhead, and also Wingard's just not working for them at the moment. They're not going to keep Wingard out for too long because he's too high profile. But
in saying that,
losing him might not hurt.
Chris Mayne spent his first year out of Collingwood, and he was on a good contract.
Exactly. So
can't be afraid to waste money.
Clarkson just dropped Jared Roughhead. There's no reason he wouldn't bring Wingard back immediately. I think. They've still got Gunston, Bruce, right?
They've still got a good forward line.
Yeah.
I think it's their midfield that's
their midfield is hurting them, and they got some injuries.
Although O'Meara, he's having a good year. Who thought that he'd get back to this form after his knee injuries?
I think they miss. They don't have James Cousins back, do they? I mean, he's out for.
He was only out for 1 week.
Is he? Maybe he is back.
I think he was only out for 1
week.
He's
been handy
because his incident was the most compared to Ablett, and everyone was consistently saying 1 week.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Look, he's been handy. Not out of the question for the Hawks to win the game. I'm going to go with GWS. What is your argument for them winning?
GWS win purely because they've got their run back. They've got their Orange Tsunami back. They run in waves. They run in waves brilliantly. And as we said before, their entries into the forward line are suiting Cameron so well. Cameron's actually taken his game to another level this year. I said
he's huge.
I don't know whether I said it last week. Or I'd said it in one of my power rankings videos a couple of weeks ago. I made the mistake of saying that Jeremy Cameron wouldn't win the Coleman medal,
which is fair to say.
He's on 30 goals after 7 weeks. He's on track to reach the 100 in finals.
Do you think he can reach the ton before finals?
Before finals?
Do you think he can reach it before finals?
No, not before finals. His best return this year so far is 7 goals. I can remember in 08 when Buddy kicked it, he regularly
had 7s, 8s.
8s. Yeah, he regularly kicked 8s.
Yeah.
And he ended that year with 108 goals or something like that.
Yeah. He had a ridiculous haul in the last game that they played against Carlton, didn't they?
No, he only needed to kick 1 goal.
Oh, that's right.
To get it.
Yeah.
Fev needed to kick 9.
Yeah, and he kicked 8. That's right.
Yeah.
But he also on 99.
He also kicked 4 behinds, and his last kick, which was like the last kick of the game or something, was a behind. So he had chances to get it, Fev, but he didn't.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's hard to say. If the Giants keep up their midfield form, then yes, Cameron makes the ton in finals.
Yeah, in finals.
You can't expect him to be kicking these 6 to 7 bags every week. He's going to have down weeks, which will drop his average.
His down week's probably only going to be down to 3 or 4 goals.
He's averaging 5 goals a game this year.
Okay, right. So he's on track to just get it, but he's going to drop. I mean... You would think so. I'm not going to say for sure. He's been on fire, but
I mean, he could get an injury. His form could just come down.
And
it might not even be his form.
Miss.
It might just be the midfield's form that comes down a bit.
Yeah.
It's so everything has to go right. And do you know what? He may just be the next player to get it.
Yeah. If I had to put money on someone right now to be the next player, even if it's this year that he gets it or not, my money would be on Jeremy Cameron. Just for the weight that his side can score in when they're hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
GWS win this, though. GWS. Although I will say they tend to struggle at the MCG a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. And I think Hawthorn might have a bit of fire lit under them after everything that's sort of gone on for them. But I'm going to go GWS too.
Last game of the round, Dockers versus the Tigers. How did the Dockers win this, Justin?
Defense just smashed Tom Lynch. Just make sure he doesn't get a sniff. And they should win because the midfield should do well enough with all the outs that Richmond has.
Yep.
Fremantle didn't play abhorrent footy. They played abhorrent footy to look at last week.
Yeah.
They didn't play terrible footy when it comes to winning. They just gave up 2 dumb 50-metre penalties that put the game on ice.
Yeah.
And
mind you, I don't think they'll win. Even without those 50s, I don't think they win that game.
No, probably not. But they did cut it to 6 in the final quarter, and Michael Walters faded too much for me. So he becomes a huge part in this game for me because when Michael Walters is hot, they're very hard to stop in the middle. I think I was reading during the week that Michael Walters has been obviously their best trio in the midfield to win clearances this year is Fife, Mundy, Walters. Now that you wouldn't attribute to Walters being in there, but if you take him out, I think they're markedly worse in the midfield.
I have a question for you, actually. Is Fife as good as what he was in 2015? Yes or no?
Yeah.
You reckon he's as good as what he was?
I think he absolutely is. I think he's just supporting cast and that isn't there like it was in 2015. They don't have the experience in that. But if you're watching even just last week, just take last week's game. He dominated last week's game when he got near the footy and just. So he's at this point in his career where he knows that I think he's aware that 1-on-1 no one can beat him.
I love your comments, Haya. It's Fremantle by 10 plus goals if they score 10 goals.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
It's Fremantle.
But I think...
As a Freo fan, okay, obviously you watch their games closer than any other team.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably a little more biasly too, but closer.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But I think we're level-headed enough to try and take a bit of the bias out, right? Yeah. Tim Kelly is leading the Brownlow medal count. Do you think that Fife should be?
No, I don't think he should be leading the Brownlow medal count on the basis that, he did miss that game from concussion. So, actually,
plus
that's a tough
that game
question.
Itself, you probably rule out.
Yeah, it was the West Coast game. Yeah, that's right.
When did he... Well, the game
got the concussion. It was against the Saints. And
when did that happen, though? It happened in the first half, though, didn't it?
I tend to think it happened in the third quarter. Yeah. Can't remember.
So he probably doesn't get votes in that game as well.
Maybe not. I think the Brownlow predictor actually still hadn't getting a vote in that game. Right. So I think there's still a massive chance he wins his second Brownlow this year because when they play well,
provided he doesn't get suspended.
Provided he doesn't get suspended.
Because
he nearly did against the Dogs. He put a high bump on
the big
Hunter,
two. So Dangerfield's been suspended, hasn't he?
Has he? I don't know.
I think he has.
No, he got off.
Did he?
Yeah, he got off again, remember?
Well, Dusty's been suspended.
I think Dusty. Yeah, Dusty.
Dusty's not,
of course. Yeah.
Dusty's not even in the conversation this year.
No, he's not. The ones that you put in the conversation, Cripps, I think...
Kelly,
Fife. Who else is up there? People keep saying Ablett, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I tell you what, if he keeps playing the way that he is all year, he might be.
There's no reason he can't.
Because he's impacting well, and he's a big enough name to the umpires to get noticed.
Yes.
And that's the big thing.
Huge thing.
Yeah.
I think the thing about Fife...
Because I think... Okay, I just want to make a point here with regards to the Brownlow before we just come back to this for 2 seconds. Sam Walsh, you'd probably argue, is being Carlton's best player.
You could make a very big case.
You could even
quietish.
You could even argue that he's been featuring in the Brownlow votes.
Absolutely, you could. He's getting enough touches.
The games that Carlton have played in, I wouldn't say that the opposing team has had 3 better players than Walsh.
No, they haven't. Outside of the North game, probably.
But I tell you, he won't get many votes because he's a first-year player.
He's a rookie.
And that's the problem.
It's almost like it's set that you know which players are going to get votes, and it is going to be the guys
based on their names and not their performances.
Exactly. Fife, I think, in regards to your question, is he as good as 2015 Fife? Watching him the last few weeks, he's on this level where 1-on-1, he just knows if he gets it his way, he's not losing. He just knows he's at this point where he can even come up against his fellow elite midfielders. And he just knows that he's probably not going to lose the contest. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean Fremantle wins games.
Yeah.
So that could hurt them. If Fremantle go back to getting belted, then yeah, maybe. Although there was a game last year where they lost by 70 points to Richmond and Fife got 3 votes. So don't ask me how that happens.
He's that good of a player, though.
He is that good, but I still think that was a blip on the umpire's radar.
I don't agree with that. I would think that you could easily make a case for, even though you're getting flogged, the best player.
Yeah, true. It's individual. It's an individual award, so you can do that. I think he monsters Richmond's kids this week. I hope.
You would think so. There's not many
kids
games.
Have been good. Those kids have been winning contested footy,
even against other contested. But you go back into the 15th season.
Yeah.
Fife v Dangerfield. You'd think Fife just edges Dangerfield in that game.
Yeah,
and Dangerfield was a beast.
Yeah. So I think Fife, Mundy, Walters should combine enough to take pressure off the defense. And when there's no pressure on the Freo defense, it's extremely hard for sides to score against them because that defense is so stout. I don't see Tom Lynch getting off the chain on Alex Pearce too much. It's Alex Pearce's 50th, so I hope not. That's how Fremantle will win. And conversion in front of goal, because they're getting the opportunities in front of goal. The midfield's been good enough to give them opportunity. It's conversion. If I watch Matt Taberner miss one more crucial goal, I swear to God, I'm just going to put a boot through my television.
If he fixes that part of his game,
he could be great.
Yeah.
But it's been a very big problem for a lot of years now. So
it's all up here.
We'll wait and see. What's your argument?
Tigers win this game by reverting back to their chaotic ball style. If they just kick the ball into the forward line, right, Alex, Pearce and Hamling, sorry.
They've got a few pillars
They're
there,
not intercept players. They're defensive players.
No. Well, Hamling's not bad on the intercept, but I know what you're talking about.
If they're just playing defensive style and just punching the ball instead of actually marking the ball, that suits the Tigers' chaotic forward line, small forward line, in terms of they're going to get onto that rolling ball much quicker than the Freo defenders will.
Yes.
That's a concern for me that I have with Fremantle is they don't have a great intercept player in that back line.
I think Luke Ryan probably takes that mantle as he's taking his share of intercept marks. But I can see what you're saying, and getting it out, even though they might take the intercept mark, getting it out becomes a problem because the skills aren't great exiting.
Because unless you get the ball into Nathan Wilson's hands, there is no one in that back line that can actually.
You need someone like Brad Hill floating around the back line to.
Stephen Hill coming back into the team, when he does come back into the team, I think he will play across the half back line.
Yeah, probably.
He's tremendous for that Freo team. But I tell you what, he doesn't stay in the team for long. He's consistently got quad injuries.
I tell you, they must be confident that their midfield can get the job done because they left Connor Blakely out again.
Did they?
They left him out again.
Well, their midfield's running all right.
Their midfield's not too bad.
Why would you mess with a winning formula? I mean, they're not winning the games as consistently as what they want to be, but their midfield is consistently getting on top.
My argument is that
did they bring Sean Darcy back in?
He's in the extended squad.
Good.
We're yet to see what changes they make. I hope Cam McCarthy
we'll find that out
comes out of the squad and is probably replaced by Brennan Cox or Sean Darcy, which would move Lob forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, left Blakely out. He had 31 and a goal for Peel Thunder. I mean, I know what you're saying, don't mess with the midfield, but I did see in that Adelaide game at least 3 or 4 passengers that didn't do much. That Blakely is in your best 22 talent-wise.
I wonder if he's doing enough defensively. If he's not being
does make me wonder that. Yeah.
Clearly, he's winning the ball and attacking the ball and everything, but they have enough players in that midfield that can do that better than what Blakely can.
Yes. Yeah.
Clearly, he's not doing enough defensively to get back into the team.
Yeah.
Because your best attacking midfielders, Fife. Well, he's not overtaking Fife. Mundy's having a
huge season.
He's having
ridiculous.
Brad Hill.
Brad Hill is not replacing.
And Michael Walters, he's not replacing him.
And he won't replace the kids either. He's
not going to come in for,
yeah,
exactly right.
They won't drop those two because they've made a choice. That's the direction they're on.
Defensive mindset to his game style to then re-enter the midfield under that role.
He has played across half-back. I think he spent the 2016 season across half-back, and he was decent, but he wasn't defensive there. He was very attacking half-back. Yeah.
So I think, well, maybe they do need to bring him across the half-back to give Nathan Wilson another player to exit the field for you.
I tend to think one more bad week from one of those players in the back six, or even a bad week from someone in the midfield, and Connor Blakely's going to come in.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, but for me, I'm going to go with the Dockers.
I think the Dockers in this game as well, and they move to a 5-3 ledger, and the Tigers drop to a 3-5 ledger.
Would be a bad loss for Freo because they have some tough games coming up.
If they do lose, if they lose this game, finals for them becomes a bit of a question.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yes.
All right, so let's come back to our questions.
Right. I'm ready to go.
Let's go with you first because I think it's the smaller one of the two.
All right.
Should Carlton keep Brendan Bolton? You're saying yes.
Yes, they should. I don't think he's been a terrible coach by any means. That's my actual stance on it, is that he hasn't been a terrible coach. The numbers, I was looking into the stats this week.
The numbers don't back that up.
The numbers aren't kind. Stick with me here. The numbers are not kind.
It's how you interpret those numbers.
Some numbers that are kind is that, I might be clutching at straws here, but their percentage is better than Sydney's, Melbourne's, North Melbourne's, and the Gold Coast. Yes, those sides are all
85.9%, is it?
Yeah.
It's better than Brisbane's last year.
And it's also close to, it's not far from West Coast, Richmond, and St Kilda. They're all less than, I think, 10% above Carlton.
Yep.
So one good game for Carlton, one bad game for one of those sides could really shift that. So I think this, and that to me, when percentage is good, you may not be getting the results, but you're still scoring enough, and you're still defending enough.
It's saying that you're playing good footy.
And 85% we wouldn't label a good percentage in the overall scheme of things, but for Carlton,
at 1 and 6.
Yeah, at 1 and 6, I think that's a handy
to be
percentage.
Only 15% off of 100% and breaking even. That's pretty good.
One thing they do, they lose their disposal count by about 30 every week, but they average more kicks than their opponent.
Yep.
Clearly, that's
they're
in the mind.
The ball.
Clearly, they want to be a kicking side. Then they need to probably sharpen up a bit. They lose the handballs.
Paddy
by
Dow
about 35.
probably is the only one that actually breaks that system for them.
Yeah, I think so. But they lose the handballs, I know, by about 35. But they win their clearances.
Interesting.
By 2.
Then
yeah.
That probably says to. But that's even interesting. That doesn't add up with what I was going to say. If they're losing the handballs, that means they're not breaking the lines with fast ball movement. They're trying to break down the zone. I'm not sure their players are capable of doing that.
To me, it's a question on their defensive capabilities and their defensive effort, because if teams are handballing on you a lot,
well, how many tackles are they getting?
That's a good question. I actually don't know that off the top of my head, but I think they're in the lower echelon of tacklers. But if teams are, I think their defensive output must be low, because if teams are handballing on you this much and you're allowing them to do it, surely if they are going to handball on you that much, just get them to turn the ball over. Just go in and lay a tackle.
Mind you, in saying that, I don't think they mustn't. No, I would think I would actually go the opposite way with that.
Yeah,
and they're actually putting pressure on the ball carrier to not allow to get the quick kick and then control the ball.
It could be.
Mark the ball.
Yeah, I'm a little torn on where these stats took me. At the end of the day, they win the clearances by 2, but they have Patrick Cripps. I'm not ready to attribute that to Brendan Bolton. I'm ready to attribute that to Cripps and Walsh.
To Paddy Cripps, yeah.
The stats are mixed, but I'm going to go to the percentage one. This is why they shouldn't get rid of Brendan Bolton. Sydney, North, Melbourne, and the Suns all have a lower percentage. They're around the mark of the reigning premiers in percentage. Keep him for another year. See where he can take you as this list develops even more.
Yeah, I think one more year.
And just
if it's a similar story next year, then he's in trouble.
I don't want to use the term give him a chance, because he's had chances. But I do want to use the term that you're stuck to this plan. Carlton clearly doesn't want to be on the coaching carousel anymore. It's a big thing for Carlton to not be on the coaching carousel, because they were on it and they've jumped off and they committed to Brendan.
They've been on it since the mid-2000s.
And I don't think they want to be that team anymore.
They've been on it since the early 2000s, actually.
Yeah, and I think they look at Brendan Bolton and go, this guy's, stack him up to some of the other coaches they've had, and maybe he's doing some good things. Who knows? They know him better than we do. I think keep him for one more year and just let him go.
Yeah. If they turn out similar performances next year, I think he's gone.
Yeah.
But I think... See, I said this year I think they were due about 8 to 10 wins. Now, they're probably not going to get that. However, their percentage, I think, is going to make up for that. They'll have the percentage of an 8 to 10 win team, I think.
Yeah, and if they've got that, it's something to really fall back on for him as a coach, because percentage to me reflects the coach. It does. It's your game plan. It's how much you're scoring, how much are you defending, right? I'd keep Maria. You're not making an argument to get rid of him, because we'd just be rehashing. Stuff.
So I'm not going to make an argument to get rid of him, because there's too much of that going around already, and there's nothing that I can add to that.
There's not. Yeah, it's a bloodbath out there for Bolts at the moment. But What I am going to give you is I'm going to give you his name. I'll give you Brendan Bolton, Brad Scott, John Longmire.
Yeah.
You've got to tell me why John Longmire has more pressure than those coaches.
I'll tell you why John Longmire has and should have more pressure than what he's currently under. Okay, he's sitting last on the ladder after 7 games. He's gone 1-6.
That's damning. Yeah.
His percentage, 71.7%. That's huge. Okay. Yeah. Stats wise, I put a lot of stats together between Sydney and Geelong. We'd consider Geelong to be the benchmark team this year.
Yeah,
right?
the best
team.
They've been good at everything.
They actually averaged 3 more disposals a game than what Geelong do.
Oh, right.
They average 10 marks per game less than Geelong, which means they're not controlling the ball as much. They actually get about the same rebound 50s.
Yeah.
Which means they're actually exiting their 50 pretty well on most occasions. Rebound 50. I'm not sure what the AFL classes as a rebound 50, whether it be rebound 50 just to get it out of your 50, which to be fair is not hard to do. I don't know why they're measuring that stat.
No, I don't.
I think a much more valuable stat would be to go, are you getting it out of your 50 and into your 50?
Are you going from 50 to 50?
Is that a rebound 50?
Yeah. That should be a
I would think
You're
so.
Right. Because Sydney repel 50s like all hell. They just, they cut them off and they send them out, but it comes back
That's
frequently.
Right, yeah.
It's not
they
good.
average just over 2 tackles less a game than Geelong do. They have 8 more clangers than what Geelong do.
Yeah, right.
Which just says a story that Sydney have not been a great kicking side. They haven't been for a long time.
No,
their disposal efficiency over the course of the year is 71.7%, which is probably average, if not below average, of where you want a team to be. This is the biggest. There are 2 big things here that I'm going to give you. They've only scored 525 points. It's 14th in the league.
Right. Okay.
All right. They've had score against them 656 points. 16th in the league.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right, they're the third easiest team to score against,
which is completely against their mantra of what they've built for themselves. 100%. Yeah.
I'm also going to tell you another stat, which 2 other stats that I think is interesting. For every inside 50 that they get, they're scoring on 39% of the occasion. You compare that to Geelong, 45%, which is about where you want a team to be.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And the other one, if I can find it here, Sydney averages 48 inside 50s per game. Okay? It's not great. It's not too bad. It's probably around about average. What did I have? Geelong here. 51.4. So they're only 3 inside 50s down. Yeah. However, Geelong only concede 45% scoring shots per inside 50. Oh, no, that was their... Where do I have that stat? Maybe I didn't write it down for Geelong. Oh. Geelong only concedes 51.3 opposition inside 50s.
Okay, yeah.
And Sydney concedes 61 opposition inside 50s. And I'll tell you another thing, that Geelong one is inflated by Melbourne. Melbourne are a huge inside 50 team, and that inflation comes from 72.
That's right. Yeah, Melbourne went off for inside 50s against them and then just didn't score from them. Melbourne's conversion scoring rate is dismal.
I'm going to tell you the inside 50 counts of Geelong's last 7 games. 48, 72, which is that Melbourne inflated.
So this is against Geelong.
This is against Geelong. 53, 50, 48, 39, 49. You take that Melbourne one out and their inside 50 against count comes below 50.
Well below.
Right?
Yeah.
Sydney, this is their inside 50 count against them. 68, 52, 54, 59, 64, 57, 77.
Ooh. Who got the 77? Who did they play?
I think Melbourne.
Who did they play last week?
Brisbane.
Brisbane. Was that Brisbane with the 70?
I think so.
Whew.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So their average is 50, what did I say? 61.
Yeah.
They haven't actually had a team go inside 50 less than 50 occasions against them. Their defense is horrible. Their defensive midfield defense is horrible.
Yeah.
And I don't understand because they've still got the same kind of players running through that midfield. Besides Hanbury wasn't really there last year.
I think they've gotten on, and the ones that they've sort of replaced are young kids.
I know that you're telling us that, they've got some kids running through there. I understand that they had the youngest team last week running through their team and everything, but their team dynamic is not working. Right, it's not working in terms of their development plans. Isaac Heaney should be playing in the midfield, whether he's been underdone or not.
Yeah.
That is a fact. Yeah. He adds so much attacking flair and defensive ability to that midfield. Josh Kennedy, I think, is probably due to be dropped.
Yeah.
He's not playing very well.
Yeah. I mean, even if you didn't drop him, would you have moved
the
him
same could be
forward?
Said to Parker. In fact, their entire...
Where's Luke Parker at?
I don't know. Yeah. A couple of years ago... there were talks Brownlow.
Yeah.
Where's that player gone?
I don't know.
John Longmire should definitely, because the drop off with a very similar team to what he had the last year in the last few years should not be this dramatic.
Yeah, and you lose a few players. Everyone loses a few players every year. I think a premiership would buy winning a premiership would buy you how many free years as coach? About 5. About 5, you can have some bad years and just your club's probably looking at you going, whatever. You won us a flag eventually.
Yeah.
His time from winning that flag
in 2012
is
the last time he made a grand final was 2016.
Yeah, which was a good run, and he did it with a very good team, and they did it well drilled.
They just came up with very, very hot Bulldogs.
Yeah, exactly. So, look, I still think he could go somewhere else and maybe be a productive coach. But with Sydney, he almost reminds me of Ross Lyon and Fremantle.
Would you trust him to take on another team, considering he's never had a team that has been good with skills?
No, he hasn't.
No, he's always produced contested teams, never teams that are good with ball in hand.
To be fair, he didn't take over a bad team, so he's never really had to build anything.
He was kind of handed a team.
Yeah, Paul Roos really sets up coaches.
He's
a free ride.
I would say that he's only actually just now turning over and making his own list.
Yeah,
he's added to the list through discarded other team, but he's never actually really developed players from the draft.
To me, a lot of their players do the same thing.
Yeah, they do.
Your Florence, probably does the same sort of impact as your Papley.
Not a big fan of midfielders going forward unless your name is Martin and Dangerfield. Yeah, that's in relation to the
the Kennedy going forward. Yeah, you're probably right. I don't. He's probably too slow to play forward, to be honest.
I think that's in relation to the Heaney comment.
Oh, to the Heaney comment, right? Yeah,
Heaney can be a great forward.
Yeah.
He can be a better midfielder.
When you've got a gun midfielder, this is why I disagree. I'm with this because I disagree a lot with the Fremantle fans, my fellow faithful, who call for Nat Fyfe to play more forward.
Yeah.
When you've got one of the best midfielders in the comp,
he should be finishing his career.
Don't put them anywhere else. Just let him continue winning all the ball. Find someone else to do the forward work,
Yeah. Mind you, they have people in the forward line to do that now. So he can play that role.
Yeah.
Without feeling, I should be down there because I can actually do that.
If you want to spell him there for 5 minutes a game, go ahead. But he's a midfielder, and Heaney's a midfielder, and that's where they need to be playing.
Yeah.
I will argue that John Longmire is not on the hot seat compared to Brendan Bolton and Brad Scott on basic grounds that this is his first year. But if you discount the 0-6 start, the 0-6 start last year was bad.
Yeah. But
they still went on to make the finals. So this is his first year where we're really looking at him going like, you're in charge of a bad team. This team's not going well, and it's not doing too well. So maybe he's got enough time on his hands than those guys.
Yeah.
But I'm hearing the arguments, man. I can see Sydney being the club that when they go down wants to move on from that quickly, and that may mean moving on from your coach quickly.
Yeah. I think keep them there till next year. Keep them there next year.
Yeah. Keep them there
like I was saying at the start of the show. I think this is the year that they go backwards to go forwards.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I don't think they should be going backwards this much.
Yeah.
I was expecting them to go backwards. Like I said, I had them finishing 13th this year. Their form at the moment doesn't suggest they'll finish 13th.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. They're not going to get that high.
I can't see them winning many games on their
because they haven't turned it around. Like we said earlier, they haven't lost by heaps. But they haven't.
Who are they playing this week again?
Essendon.
Yeah, right. And I think we both have Essendon winning that.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. I see a surprising amount of Sydney fans calling for Longmire's head.
No, I just... You have that with every team, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you had West Coast where they were almost missing finals. I mean, in his first year, they missed finals. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Even the year, at the end of the year before the premiership, they were calling for his head. They lose the premiership.
Yeah.
And I tell you what's interesting. They deliver a premiership when they were tipped to not make the 8, right? He only had a 98% approval rating.
Yeah.
Why is it not 100% after winning a premiership?
I don't understand. What fans could still
I don't
be
understand what AFL
Look,
fans want.
As a Fremantle fan that has yet to experience that, I can say with full vigour, if a coach wins me a flag, he can coach me to like 10 more wooden spoons. I don't even care.
The day that
I'll look forward to the number 1 draft picks.
The day that Fremantle win a premiership, and if this show is still running, I will let you decorate this whole room in Freo.
Oh man,
in Freo glory. That's how confident I am that they won't actually get it done.
I'm gonna hold you to that, and I am gonna go to Bunnings and buy a ton of purple paint. I'm gonna repaint the thing. Yeah. No, I'm with you. I think Sydney, Longmire on the hot seat. That's where I stand with that.
Well, we have run massively over time this week.
Have we? Okay.
Yeah, massively over time. We're almost up to 2 hours, actually. So I think now's a good spot to probably end it.
Yes, I would say so.
Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you haven't done so already, please do leave a big thumbs up on the stream and or the video, depending on how you're watching this. If you've made it this far into it, it's been a long time. Sorry for that. Just listen to it as a podcast while you're working.
That's what I do. I like the sound of my own voice.
If you guys haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe and ring that bell to receive the notifications when we do come out with the show on a weekly basis and any of the videos that we come out with as well. And don't forget, we do actually have a Discord, a Discord server. I'm not sure I have the link in the description below, but I will put it in the link in the description when this is up as a video. So if you want to chat with us on a more personal basis or be able to actually have us expand on some of the things that we've said, or you want to talk to us about other topics, or you even want to suggest some topics to us to talk about throughout the week.
Give us something to yarn
Come
about.
join us in the Discord and talk to us there. That would be awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Justin.
Thanks for having me again, mate.
And thank you, guys. This has been your AFL Access.